easier for you.
Hey, Gary, it's me.
There you go.
Let's see, in front of us, blue shirt, black jacket.
You want questions or you want to speak?
You can give us questions. Well, how we typically do it,
First
just like
question's always the easiest. Is your name? How do you spell it? And your title.
sure. Nathaniel Moore, Hanael Moore, and I am the Deputy Director of Transportation.
I guess the big question is the city of Greensboro ready for a snow ice storm with the salt in the salt barn?
Absolutely. So we are pre-positioning ourselves. Today we are out pre-treating the roadways to get ahead of the storm. And as far as stockpile, we continue as all of our barns are full, and we'll continue to keep supplying. So as soon as we use salt, we'll have a delivery next week to supply us back.
On hand, how much salt On hand, how much salt does the city of Greensboro have?
So for us, we keep 5,000 tons spread between two locations. So the location you see behind me here is 3,000, and we have a location on the west side of town that has another 2,000 in it.
And I'd imagine that your crews have been probably preparing for the last couple days on the lead up to this winter storm?
Correct. So when this event started, we actually rolled right in from the last event that luckily was not a huge impact. But we went into this event, we had everything prepared, we've got staff prepared, and going out to get ahead of the storm today.
In terms of staffing and what you do, the change of whether it's going to be more snow or more ice, does that really affect your preparations that much? Explain that to us.
So in the beginning, no. So the beginning, we get our equipment ready, we pre-position, we get ahead of the storm. So anytime that we can pre-treat and get ahead, we will. Especially with the extreme low temperatures that we're going to get. So if we're able to get ahead of the storm and what I like to say is proactive snow fight, we certainly will. But as far as what ultimately falls or what we have precipitation at, our strategy is still the same.
If I'm not mistaken, I want to say that your crews will focus on primary routes, interstates, and then move their way down from like secondary routes to like residential roads. Could you go over that process for us again?
Yeah, so in the city of Greensboro, we're set up between the roads that our city forces take care of and NCDOT. So the interstate system is on the state NCDOT side. What we have within our system is about 2,500 miles of road. Those are broke down into three priority levels, 1, 2, and 3. 1 being our major thoroughfares that are about 1,200 miles, 2 being our secondary routes that are about 600, and then 3 are our residential roadways.
And correct me if I'm wrong again, but shouldn't your employees be working, I want to say, like 12-hour shifts or so, or around the clock, 24 hours?
Yeah, so once we initiate our emergency operations, we become 24 hours. So we run 2 crews, and they will run 12-hour shifts consecutively until what we have as service level targets are met.
When do you plan on initiating the emergency plan?
So initially, if you had asked me that question yesterday, I would have said Friday evening. We're continuing to look at the forecast as it is fluid, but sometime between Friday and Saturday is what we would say will initiate our emergency response efforts.
When it comes to this winter storm, I think there's some consensus that there's obviously going to be preparing for the initial impact of the storm when it hits the triad, but are you also tracking and preparing for the potential lingering cold and ice that might develop afterwards?
Yeah, so initially, you get out ahead. We try and do everything pre-positioned ahead, but we know that with these low temperatures that are going to come in, this is not going to go away in a day. We know that we're in for the long haul, and we're ready to, be out there as long as we have to until we can get everything safe for the traveling public.
I guess attached to that, when it comes to resource management, will you have enough salt on hand to not just withstand that initial impact, but also for the aftermath as well?
Yeah, so everything we keep on hand at any given time. Typically, I can get through about 4 events. What we do though, as soon as we knew this event was coming in, we had placed an order so that they will start delivering and resupplying our stockpile next week.
You mentioned sort of the change based on how the forecast for when it arrives changing, no longer Friday. Will there be a gap between sort of pre-treating and then going into that emergency plan, or will you pre-treat right up until it starts?
So today we'll continue to look at the forecast, as we said. As things change, we will switch over from our pre-treatment program into our actually plow program and salt program. We'll continue to look at that. We'll evaluate that this afternoon, what we want to do, and then move forward into our emergency response efforts.
How many trucks do you guys have to put out on the streets for this storm?
So we run right at about 50 snowplow trucks per shift, and we have additional resources, motor graders, and equipment that we have pre-positioned throughout the city so that we can have a quicker response so we don't have to mobilize those from this facility.
And what is the message for the citizens of Greensboro? If they see one of your trucks out, they see the trucks today, the trucks, if they're out, what is your message to the folks about being around with your truck?
So if you have to go out, go ahead, get what you need now. We will be out. We will get to everyone. We will provide a safe travel experience, but it takes us a little time to get there. So if you see a truck, slow down, pull over, give us room. We will make sure we get to everybody. We just want to make sure everyone's safe, including our staff.
Can you actually just remind citizens about the fact that we'll have to be patient as your staff, your crews, work to get through this event and do what you need to do on the roads?
Yeah, so we're looking at 2,500 miles we're responsible for. So it is a large system we have here. So it takes us time to get there, but we will. We've always met every service target we've ever met, and like I tell everyone, I brag on we're the best snow program in the state of North Carolina, and we continue to do so.
And are there any problem spots? I want to say bridges and shaded areas might present a significant challenge for your staff.
So that's one of the areas that we focus on. So we have about 130 identified bridge locations and elevated structures that we're pre-treating, and another 530 miles of roadway that are shaded areas that we know don't quite get the sunlight that we want to pre-treat ahead of time.
So drivers should be extra cautious if they come across an area like that.
Yeah, so anytime that you're in a freezing event, your elevated structures will ice quicker than the roadways do. So just take your time, be patient, be safe out there. If you have to get out, don't get in a hurry, and just watch yourself as you drive.
How close will your trucks and your facilities be working with Guilford County EMS, Guilford County Fire? Could there ever be a position where suddenly a priority 3 becomes a priority 1 because of an emergency? How does that work?
We work with all the emergency response agencies. When we get into our event, if there's something that comes up, they have direct contact over to our staff and our dispatchers. So if we need to go to a location, we need to help out, we have that ability.
How important is communication with all of your partnering agencies in a situation like this, preparing for an event like this?
Yeah, it's absolutely huge. So the more information that we can get, the better decisions we can make. So we take a look at the system as a whole. Everyone has a specialty that that we can lean on. So we leverage as much as that knowledge as we can.
And I'd imagine it's communication not just leading up to the event, but during and even afterwards, too.
Correct.
Can you talk about the difference between the salt and the brine and when you use each?
Yeah, so salt brine is nothing more than salt mixed with water. So the idea is ahead of the storm, you can place salt brine out on the roadway, and instead of that small salt particle bouncing off the road, it'll dry and leave a film of salt on the road. So that's why you see agencies like ourselves and NCDOT pre-positioning themselves with salt brine so that you can leave it on the roadway, 24 to 48 hours ahead of the storm, so that you can get ahead of that last bond between the pavement and that ice particle.
You said you were responsible for 2,500 miles. How much of that do you try to pre-treat in advance?
So right now we have targeted about 530 miles today of pre-treatment.
And I think this might be the science perspective, but I just don't know it. Is there a point, a temperature, or if there's already a layer of ice on the roads where that salt is maybe less effective, and what is, the decision or next step if that happens? Does that happen? So your road salt, like you see behind you, typically about 15 degrees, it starts becoming less effective. At that point, we do have some other tools in our toolbox that we can use. One of those is we try to break that layer with plows and motor graders. Our goal is to try and get out ahead so that we can get that first layer off. We can allow the black pavement, the dark material will absorb sunlight. So just because the temperature outside might be 15 degrees, your roadway temperature typically is quite a bit above that. So if you can get some sunlight on the roadway, we can start melting that ice away. And I think a follow-up, I know you said targeting of more than 500 of those roads for pre-treatment. Is the goal to try to get in the next 2 days all of those miles pre-treated, or just maybe the level 1 or level 2s?
We'll have everything. So like I said, about 130 structures and 530 miles. We'll have that completed today.
And then you're going and doing the road salt afterwards?
Correct.
Okay.
So once we get it from pre-treatment, we will switch over. As you see, some of these bays are empty. We'll switch back over to plows and spreaders, and then we'll fill everything with salt. And then we'll have, basically before the storm, all these vehicles will go out to their designated locations. We'll stand by, and then we'll wait on snowfall to start, and then we'll get out and start treating the roadway.
Okay, so you're doing everything with the salt brine today, and tomorrow the 530,000 miles or so, right? And then with the 130 structures, and then once the snow starts to fall, you switch over to plow and the grading salt.
Yes, correct.
So that's expected, maybe Saturday or so? I mean, we don't know, but as forecasted, it'll be about Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, initially, like I said, if you'd asked me yesterday, I would have said Friday. We're keeping an eye on the forecast to see when we're going to start that emergency operation with these folks, but we'll keep ahead. So we like to give ourselves a gap. So our goal is, when you see the first snowflake, we have crews pre-positioned throughout the city. So we're not waiting. We're actively will be out there on scene. So a lot of citizens will see these trucks all around the city. Will be pre-positioned and ready to start.
Just want to be clear, you're not prepping or salt brining all levels, priority 1, 2, and 3. You're mostly doing this at the priority 1, and then the bridges, the line.
So we do not pre-treat the entire system just because of time constraints between now and the storm. If we had 4 or 5 days, we would look at that. But no, we're hitting our focused areas that we know are overpasses, elevated structures, just because of temperature related, and then areas that we know are shady areas. So,
throughout the storm, how will you make sure you keep in contact with residents who are calling about possible places where where there are roads that it may be brine or possible salting? How do you prioritize complaints and decide where you go out and provide service?
So we have a great tool. So I encourage every resident in the city of Greensboro to get on our website. We keep an interactive snow map up to date, and our goal is to try and update that every hour that we have. So if you have to go out and you know that you're going to take a route, get on the map, take a look at it. We'll update that continuously throughout the event, and we'll keep providing that data. So once we do get a roadway cleared, we clear it off the map to show that we have completed it.
Is there a name for the map?
It should be on the front page of the City of Greensboro homepage, and it's just, I believe it's an interactive snow map.
Thank you.
Is there anything else we didn't ask you that we need to touch on?
No, like I said, if you have to be out, be safe, be careful out there. Give our folks room to work. We'll get to everybody. And I certainly want to give all the credit to our staff out here. Without the, 100 plus people per shift, we would not be able to do this, and we'll continue to want to provide a great customer experience to everybody.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank y'all.
Thank you.